you want to feel this powerful? If the answer is yes, then you definitely gonna want to make sure you watch this build. Have you ever been in a situation when you felt so powerful that it only takes one bullet to kill every single enemy that comes your way? Well, this build, guys, is gonna have you doing that and more. Welcome to my endgame Technomancer build for Outriders, where I'm going to give you guys the best build, hands down, for the Technomancer. The good thing is I actually already tested this in Worldslayer, and boy, does it wreck. Now imagine what this build will do when Worldslayer drops and we're able to add 3 mods into this. Oh my goodness, it is going to be crazy. So if all of this sounds like something you're definitely interested, a like would be appreciated, and let's dive in and take a look at the build. Like always, we're going to be focusing on 3 main things with this build. Number 1 is applying Toxin, so we can not only get our health back, but we can also make our enemies invulnerable. Number 2, we're going to be applying Freeze, so Freeze gives us the advantage of being able to do extra damage because of the armor set that we have. And number 3, we're going to be working on AoE damage, because that AoE damage, as you've seen here in the clips, allows us to kill multiple enemies at the same time with just one single bullet. So with that being said, guys, let's take a look at our inventory and see what we have available for the Trickster and what I recommend. So let's start off with the weapons. So for the main weapon, guys, I'm using the Absolute Zero. Now, there's going to be a better option than this, but this is the second best option. The reason why I wanted to put this in my inventory prior to the main option I want to recommend is because this is a more accessible weapon. In addition to that, guys, it already drops with 1 mod. So all you have to do, guys, is just make sure you transfer one specific mod, which is the Bone Shrapnel, to be able to make this as powerful as it can be. So basically, guys, this is an assault rifle. It's going to let you have a total of 60 bullets, no, 45 in the clip, and you theoretically will never be running out of ammo because you're always going to have your toxin bullets active, so you'll never be running out of ammo. Now the question is, why do we want to run this weapon out of the other one? Is because of the ultimate freezing bullets. Shots inflict freeze on enemies. Now remember, like I said earlier, freeze is going to be very important for this build, which I'll explain a little bit further in the video, because that's going to allow us to do more damage, plus it's going to allow us to kill multiple enemies at once. Now we put Bone Shrapnel here because what that does is when we kill someone, it is going to cause the bones to kind of explode and head into each direction, allowing us to apply bleed to the enemy, and on top of that, decimating anything that comes our way within 5 meters. Now, this is my second option as weapon. If you guys have the chance to pick this one, guys, the Eater-Born Renegade Assault Rifle, then this is the best one you could have. Now, the reason why this is the best one you can have is because the tactical variant in Outriders is the highest hitting damage weapon you can have. Now, you're going to want to make sure, if you pick this one up, the perfect combo was to have it with these 2 mods, Ultimate Freezing Bullets and Bone Shrapnel, if you're able to do that. Now, the reason why I want to recommend this third option, which is having it the way I have it, which I applied Dark Sacrifice here and Gravedigger's Frenzy, is because this is the weapon I use in case I want to kill a boss really fast. I just swap to this weapon once they're frozen, and it is completely annihilation over. It's like game over. It's like 1 shot, maybe 2 shots, and that enemy is completely dead without putting in a fight. So that's why I run both of these weapons. So I run this one as my main weapon, and then if it's a big boss that I want to kill fast and easy, I move to this one, Dark Sacrifice and Gravedigger. It is an amazing combo. Now, as far as our secondary weapon, it doesn't really matter what you run here. You can run whatever you want for aesthetics, but that's pretty much the combo. Now going on to the gear. Now this is when things get a little bit interesting, because for our gear, guys, we're running a purple helmet. Of course, you want this to be the highest you could possibly can. But what you really, guys, want is you want to make sure you have these attributes: bonus firepower, long range damage, and close range damage. That's the main thing you're looking for when you're putting this build together. Now, one thing I want to let you guys know is, if you guys are new to the game or you're coming back to the game, make sure you guys level up all your stats, because if you don't level up your stats, you're going to be underperforming. So make sure you do that. So what we added here, guys, is we added Sharp Eye. Killing an enemy while aiming down sights grants you 16k firepower for 20 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So since you'll be aiming down sights the majority of the time, you are going to be keeping a distance with this build. It's going to allow you to stack up that extra damage. Now, we also have critical stack here. Critical shots build up to 5 seconds stacks, effect that grants a 4k power anomaly power and 7k firepower bonus, stacks up to 5 times. Really good here, guys. We're going to be getting the damage, extra damage by aiming, And we're also going to be getting the extra damage by having crit shots to our anomaly. And our firepower, remember, freezes anomaly as well. So that's going to be very good. Now, the thing that makes everything work perfectly, guys, is our Borealis armor set. This is by far the best legendary armor set for the Technomancer. The reason being is because of the flavor text, which is the bonus activation, which it says increase damage on frozen enemies by 90%. Also, critical hit damage is increased by 10% for all party members for 8 seconds after Cold Snap is used. We are going to be using Cold Snap, so theoretically speaking, guys, that's a whopping 100 damage that we're going to be getting incremented if we're hitting crit shots and on top of the 90, right? So that's a total of 100. Now, the crazy thing about this, guys, if you have a total of 3 pyromancers running this, that's 300 damage, or 90 times 3, guys, which is going to give you 280 extra damage just by running this armor set alone for you, your teammate, and your friend. As long as they're Technomancers, you guys are going to be clearing out ads and enemies very fast and very easily. Now here, guys, bonus firepower, status firepower, long range damage. What we're doing here is, guys, we're keeping the Icicle Storm, which drops with the actual item, but we're putting Radical Therapy. This is extremely important, and it's a must-have for your arsenal. So make sure if you're not able to put it in here, you can put it in a different item if you already have something swapped here. This is going to deal 15% more damage against enemies afflicted by Toxin. Since we are going to be applying Toxin, which I'll explain later within our skills, that is going to be extremely important. We're going to be picking up that extra 15%. Next up, guys, we have the leg armors. Now, for the leg armors, guys, we're keeping the freezing boost, which is going to boost your damage against enemies afflicted with freeze by 15%. Remember, we're already picking up the 90. On top of that, guys, we're getting that to 105 just by having this mod. And we're putting Captain Hunter here, which is an increase your damage against elites by 25%. Really effective once you put this together and you freeze people and then you use this weapon. Things are going to be melting, guys. It's going to be like butter. Like if you put the butter out in like 110 degrees, it's just like, oof, instant melt. Now, guys, we have max the gloves, which we're keeping up shattered here, which is going to deal 25% more damage against enemies afflicted by freeze. So you guys are seeing the drift, right? We already have 115 here, right? We have, 105. And on top of that, we're picking up another 25, guys. Another 25. So that's going to give us, guys, a total of 130 damage on people who are just completely frozen. Now we're hitting crit shots. That's going to give us even more damage. And since we're applying Toxin here, guys, another 15 damage. So you guys are getting, it's a lot of damage. On here, guys, the only thing we went ahead is we put on Blood Loss, which is going to kill shots, increase your firepower by 17k, stacks up to 3 times. So more firepower, more damage. And last but not least, guys, the boots. Now, for the boots here, I wish my boots were actually bonus firepower, long range damage, and close range damage. But currently, this is the best I could actually get. And right here, guys, we are going to be looking for one of these 2 mods to actually drop. The main thing is the Toxic Lead, because that is a requirement for this build. Why is it a requirement? Because killing shots on enemies afflicted with Toxin replenishes 40% of your ammo to your magazine. This allows us to keep our bread and butter of this build active every single time. This is a requirement, and you cannot do this build without this. It's extremely important. And on here, we went ahead and swapped in Utilizer, which is going to deal 24 more damage against enemies with afflicted toxin. So overall, in general, guys, we're looking like about 175 to 180 damage increment just by applying Toxin, just by talking freeze to the enemies we're fighting. Now, with that being said, let's hop on over to the skills and see what we have. So we're running Cold Snap. This is a requirement for this build. Basically, it's going to freeze the enemies in a very large radius. Extremely important, because once those enemies are frozen, we're going to be able to do extra damage. Now, remember, the beauty about this is that if we go back to our inventory, since our weapon has ultimate freezing bullets, we're going to be able to freeze enemies. And one major thing, which I will explain in the combo section of the video, is how to play this and how to get unlimited amount of freeze regardless if you're not freezing people. Okay, so then blighted rounds. This is our bread and butter, guys. It does have a very long cooldown, but we're not going to be running out of blighted rounds because we're going to be constantly getting our ammo back, because remember, we're picking up our ammo from this mod right here, which is Toxin Lead, giving us a replenish of 40% of our ammo size every time we kill an enemy. Really important. And last but not least, guys, Blighted Turret. Now, Blighted Turret is extremely important because what Blighted Turret's going to do, it's going to apply Toxin to the enemy. So it's going to be extremely important because that Toxin is going to allow you to do even more damage, because remember, we are having the advantage of our mods here that when we apply toxin, it's going to do even more damage. See, 25% more damage to toxic. And here, deal 15 more damage to toxic as well. So you guys are seeing the synergy here. Toxic and freeze are making a beautiful combo. Now for our class tree, we're going to be going top tree on this one, and we're going to be picking up a couple stuff. So weapon damage increase here. We're also going to be picking up weapon leech, so we're going to be getting our health back from the weapons, which is the main reason why this build is so sustainable, is because we're getting our health back from using our weapon. Next up, guys, we're picking up increased armor piercing, so that's going to allow us to do damage against enemies that have armor. We're also coming down and increasing your critical damage. You see there is a lot of critical damage bonus that we're being applied here, so we're going to be getting those crit shots. This one, exposing toxin. Every time toxin is inflicted on an enemy, vulnerable status is inflicted as well. This is extremely important, which I'll explain on the combo and how you want to play with this build, because it's going to be extremely important that you understand this, because vulnerable is going to be one of the main things you're going to need to apply to an enemy to be able to do more damage and make them a little bit more squishy. And on top of that, guys, we're getting marked for execution. This is extremely important because remember, we're playing vulnerable here, and vulnerable here, once the enemy is inflicted with it, it's going to be 40% more effective. So it's going to be more vulnerability applied to them. Next up, guys, right here, we're playing a decrease in what is considered a long distance of a long range shot. That's really important because remember, we are stacking up long range within our armor. Then we have here the impact amplifier, weapon damage right here. Right here, once again, long distance being shortened. Enemies afflicted by toxin receive 10 more damage. So remember, we already have 15, we have 10, there's another 10, so a lot of toxin damage here. Weapon damage increase. Now this one's really important, guys, because what this is going to do, it's going to increase your assault weapon damage by 20%, which makes it really, really good since we are using assault rifle variants. Then assault weapon damage, so not only are we picking up the 20 here, but we're also getting another 12, so making it 32. Then we have more armor piercing, so more armor penetration. This is also important right here, which is increased damage received for all sources by 15 and dealt by 20%, really good. And this one's cool too, increase your anomaly power by 4% for each unlocked BR impact. Since we are unlocking a lot of BR impacts, that's going to be pretty good. Increase your long range weapon damage by 30%. Remember, that's why it's important that we're actually using these. We shortened the long range by 3 meters, so 6 meters right here. So that's going to allow us to apply that extra damage right here by 30%. Then increase magazine size by 50%, really important, allowing us to keep our blinded rounds active every single time. And then we have enemy afflicted with toxin receive 50% more damage, really important. And last but not least, guys, we have this one, which makes everything in the whole build entirely powerful, which is empowering antenna. Activating decay increases weapon damage for you and your allies by 40%. Now remember, since we are applying toxin here with the blighted turret, that's going to be applying that 40%. Now on top of that, we're applying vulnerability, and on top of that, we have 3 Technomancers running the same skill. That's a whopping 120% increment in weapon damage because, guys, they do stack up. Now, with that being said, guys, the question is, Laser, how do you actually combo these to make this more effective? So first thing you want to do whenever you enter an area, guys, of course, you're going to want to make sure you get blighted rounds. Once you have blighted rounds, you're going to want to make sure you clear your turret, and then you're going to cold snap, because what that's going to be doing is this is going to apply vulnerability. Cold snap's going to freeze the enemies. You shoot, bam, bam, bam. An enemy is completely dead. Now, if there is a boss, what you want to do is you want to plan accordingly, because you're going to want to make sure you kill out the ads. Once you kill all the ads with your weapon, because theoretically when you're shooting, you're going to be applying freeze, you're going to be freezing enemies. Now, one key component that you want to do is when you're clearing ads is you want to make sure you do this, because that's going to freeze every enemy around the area with freeze as well. So if you get up close, you freeze them, and then you shoot them and kill them. Now, you could also punch and freeze as well. There's one ad. Now, if it is a boss, you're going to want to definitely check your, make sure you keep your blighted rounds. But if you can't, you're basically going to do the same thing. Apply your turret. You're going to want to make sure you have blighted rounds. If you don't, apply the cold freeze, switch your weapon variant, and hit it with this. It's pretty much a one-shot every single time. Now, I hope you guys are enjoying our Outriders coverage as we get ready for Worldslayer. If you are, do me a huge favor, guys. Drop a comment, drop a like. But most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Turn on all your notifications so you guys won't miss whenever this go live. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.